Hello again. So this video is carrying on from the previous bobbin video that I have recorded. If you haven't yet watched it, I nip back and have a look because it will help you out with the Night Before Christmas Carol and any other colour work or Intarsia Crochet project that you're going to do. Now with this one, I've loaded up some bobbins ready. I always do about two or three of the colours that I'm going to need, because you can just grab one if you run out and you've got it to hand, rather than sit there and spend time winding bobbins as you go. So that's just a little tip moving forward. So I'm going to start, I've done row 43. So if you've never followed a crochet chart before, each square is a stitch. They literally like white stitch, white stitch, white stitch, white stitch, white stitch. As you go along, then you change to green. And you'll be doing that quite a lot because obviously the snow is on the tree branches in this pattern. So every odd row is a right side row, so the front of your work, and every even row is a wrong side row, which should be on the back of your work. So if you've been working the pattern, this is row number 43. It's a right side row. So when I come back the other way, I need to be conscious that my green and the yarn that I'm carrying needs to be on the back of the work. So I will show you. So I've chained 2 and I need to work 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches. So I'm going to work those now. So you've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now there's 5 stitches, but to colour change, on the 5th stitch, you work it as normal, but when you come to the last yarn over, you drop that. Now, because obviously I said we're working back on the wrong side, you bring your yarn forward, because obviously it's the wrong side, and you pick up your new colour. And what you do is you just loop it, and you pull it through. I'll do that in a minute when it decides to behave, like so. Okay, now what I do is, because a lot of people have trouble keeping the back of the work tidy, I like to keep my yarn under the stitches so that it tidies it up for me, and all I need to do is snip off a little tail at the end. So I hold the yarn down and I work my stitch, and I carry the stitches on over the yarn. I haven't gone in there, have I? There we go. Okay, so I'm holding the yarn flat. Now the reason why you can't see it at the front, and I'll show you in a second, let me see how many stitches I need to work. So I need to work quite a few. So I know that this is 10, this is 9, so that's 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 stitches in green. So I will just carry on holding my stitches at the back of the work and work my way across my section. Obviously you'll be dealing with a lot bigger blanket, but I just wanted to do a section to show you the colour changes. So as you can see, I've nearly lost that tail of green there because I've worked it underneath my stitches. I think I could get away with one more to keep it secure. There we go. And if I turn the work over, you can't see any of the other colours coming through. It looks absolutely perfect, if I do say so myself. So the reason why I'm carrying the white is because I've got quite a big section here, and for the rest of the pattern I think there's quite a lot of white to carry on. So there's no point at this stage carrying a bobbin here, but you will need one for here. So I'm going to carry on going. So I'm going to keep my stitches nice and neat. And the reason why I'm taking the white over as well is because it disappears in the bottom row. Okay, so sometimes when you come back, like I'm going to come back here, I'm not going to carry the white across because it will show, which is where your bobbins come in. So if you keep going all the way along, I've lost count on the stitches, but I know that I'm not there yet, so I'm going to keep it going and keep it going. Okay, watch your tension as well. So obviously I'm the designer. My tension is my tension, I'm sorry to say. So if you find that you're not matching the tension within the pattern, so that's the bit that says how many rows and stitches to a 10 centimetre square, then you need to either drop down a hook size or go up a hook size. It depends if you are a tight crocheter or a loose crocheter. I don't have to worry about my tension because I'm the designer. So as lovely as that is for me, it can cause a little bit of a headache for you. So when you come to the end of the project and you've run out of yarn, really you need to be checking your tension. And I know it's really personal, and I know people can get quite upset about checking tension because the projects that they make are lovely, and they are lovely, but it is one of the main reasons why you run out of yarn at the end of a project. So all being well, you would have made a tension square, and the tension square is always made up of the main stitch. So in this case, a half treble, I might have done too many stitches, a half treble here, got a little bit of fluff. That's a little bit that's poked through, isn't it? Let's get that out of the way. I'm just going to come in, pull it through. There we go. A half treble, you would work, you know, more stitches than a 10 centimetre length, and then keep going with your rows and then measure what you need. And I'll cover that off in just a second. So I said that I needed 23 stitches. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So let's take it back to the 23rd stitch. Okay, so obviously I did too many, so I'm going to take it back to the 22nd stitch, and I'm going to work it again and not pull the green through on the last loop. And what I do is I move my yarn over like this, so it just sits there. So I have a clean switch to my next colour. Okay? And then what I do is I just carry on with the white. Like that. And I carry on to the rest of the row. Obviously you can see why I would get in a tangle if I left my bobbin like that. So what I do is I literally just wind it up nice and tight, and you can pop that bit through there to give it a little bit of extra security. And then what I do is I grab one of my clips and I hold it in place like that. And then that's not flapping around, it's on the back of the work, so I know where to pick it up next time. And I work the remainder of my stitches like so. And you will find it a little bit cumbersome to start with, but please bear with it. It will save you a massive headache in the long run, and it will stop that feeling of wanting to put it down because you have to stop and untangle it every 15 minutes. Okay, work like this is not ultra speedy. Okay, you need to take your time and you need to concentrate, because graphs are tricky to read, especially when you have a lot of colour changes. So I'm on my way back now. Okay, so I've done this row of stitches here on 44, and now I've got a nice long stretch of green stitches on row 45. Now, I have got no more white left on this side, so I've gone a little bit too far. So what I like to do is on that last stitch, like so, I'll work the half treble like that again, And actually, so that there's no yarn wasted, and I know this is a little bit controversial, I take my yarn all the way up to the end. I wouldn't do this if it was a massive line. And what I do is I leave it slightly taut like that, because what I'll do is I'll hide that behind the stitches. It just saves me from having multiple bobbins. Obviously I'm doing a small section, so it won't work like this exactly for you, because you will be going all the way along the blanket and all the way back again. But I like to do this. It's a little bit of a cheat, and I'll chain my 2 so that I won't have a white line. Even though I'm putting a border in, I won't have a white line. And what I'll do is I'll just work over the top. Obviously it's nice and slack there, so I'm not going to pucker my work. And I work over the top of that yarn. Again, you're not going to see it from the front. I'm actually working on the right side of the piece now. You're not going to see it because it's the same colour as the stitches that I'm working up right now. Okay, and obviously I've got my bobbin, I've got plenty of green on my bobbin, and I'm just going to work along without the fuss of having an extra bobbin when I didn't need it. Okay, I've left the white at the end so that I can pick it up later, but obviously if this was the end of my blanket it wouldn't matter anyway, so I'd probably just cut it off there and work it into the border at a later date, so I don't have to worry about sewing that end in. So I'm just going to carry on going all the way along. Okay, and I'm just going to make sure that that last bit there, so that's obviously where I've taken it along, I can actually get underneath there and hide it a little bit more cleverly, see? So it doesn't look like I've taken it across my work at all. And that is where you get the really, really neat back that you want, instead of having to back it with fabric. That is another thing you can do, by the way. I've seen some beautiful blankets made up and they've had some lovely fabrics put on the back, and I'm slightly jealous because I don't back mine like that, and they are really, really very lovely. Okay, so that's the front of the work, and that's nice and neat. And you keep going until, so where does it tell me? Up to 2 stitches shy of the green from the previous row. Okay, my bobbin's still doing well. It doesn't matter if I run out because I can take another bobbin. And likewise, if you've got a big chunk of green that you know you're not gonna need to split up anytime, then just use the ball of wool. It will stay in shape, and it means that you can carry more and work for longer. But I just wanted to show you how bobbins work and how they can just save you such a lot of time, even though they can be a little bit fiddly. So I'm getting to the end here, and I know that I'm going to need another bobbin in a minute. So I'm working on the front of the work, and this is where I'm going to do my colour change. Okay, so I've got to see if I can show it to you a little bit clearer. Okay, so I've done row 44 here. I've come across row 45, and I'm just about to come up to this bit, and I'm working this stitch here. So I'm going to work most of the stitch, stopping there. I'm just going to take my bobbin and pop it to the side and just move the yarn here.